Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Before we get into today's show, please do me a small favour. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner, and be sure to drop a like on this episode. Let's try and see 500 likes on today's show. Before we get into today's episode, my question for you this morning is in relation to Manchester United versus Tottenham on Sunday. What are your score predictions? How are you feeling about this game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We will start the show off there by talking about that massive game on Sunday, the battle of the bottom half of the table. I mean, usually Man United Tottenham would be a pretty big game, wouldn't it? But at the moment, it just feels like there's not really any consequences of winning and losing. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but you know, if Man United win on the weekend, right? A couple of years ago, it might be that means we then get top four, or it might mean that we get fifth or sixth, or, you know, we cement ourselves in that top four position. If we win on the weekend, we will go from 13th. We could go as high as 11th. I mean, it's not particularly good reading, is it? And if Tottenham win on the weekend, they will go above us. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, when you look at it like this, if West Ham... Who are West Ham playing? Let me just check the fixtures for this weekend. So West Ham play Brentford at home. Everton play Crystal Palace away. So if we lose to Tottenham, Everton win and West Ham win, we would drop down to 16th place. I mean, that would be pretty bad, wouldn't it? 16th place. But I mean, at the same time, we're not going to get top four. We're not going to get fifth. Those are really the only two positions, and maybe sixth as well, that really matter. I don't think we'll even get seventh. We're currently 11 points off seventh, and there's only 14 games left to go. There's 42 points left to play for, and we're 11 points away from seventh place. I just can't see it, personally. I mean, arguably, we're only 12 points away from fifth, which is Champions League football, but do we really think we're going to get 12 points to catch up with Man City and they're going to drop 12 points? Like, I just don't see it. But in relation to the game on Sunday, as I said, I don't think the actual result itself is going to have that much bearing. Both of the teams are struggling. Both of the teams are in the bottom half of the table. Both of the teams aren't going to get Champions League football at this rate. But the one thing I do think is quite important here is obviously Tottenham have so many injuries. And if I don't want to say our best team, but I mean, it is kind of our best team, isn't it? Lisandro Martinez is injured, Mason Mount's in. To be fair, we are missing some players. You've got Martinez injured, Mason Mount's injured, Luke Shaw's injured. Who else is injured? Anybody else think of any names? I can't think of any off the top of my head. But the point I'm making here is Tottenham's squad at the moment is quite bare. When you look at the team that they had against Aston Villa on the weekend, I mean, I say that. Their squad is quite bare. And, you know, you see Ange Postecoglou complaining constantly, right? They've still got Son as their striker. I'd take him over any of our attacking players. They've got Kulusevski, who I would take in our team any day of the week. They've got Matthias Tell, who we all wanted in the January window. They've got Bentancur. I think he'd get in our team at the moment. They've got that Bergvall guy who looks decent. He'd get in our team. They've got Pedro Porro. I think he'd probably get in our team. They've got Danso, who they've just signed. I think he'd probably get in our team, considering Martinez is injured. They've got that Spence guy. I think he's decent. He'd get in our team. And their goalkeeper looks decent. Kinski, he would get in our team. And then they've got Archie Gray, who's playing out of position. And so although they're going through like a crisis and all the rest of it, I actually think on paper, their team is probably actually better than ours, to be honest, which is mad to think, isn't it? And even on their bench, they've got Bissouma, who we tried to sign before. They've got that Sarr guy, who's good. They've got Reguilon, who we obviously had on loan. But I mean, they are obviously missing like a hell of a lot of players, aren't they? But anyway, in relation to my score prediction for this game, Tottenham versus Manchester United on Sunday, I think it might be a draw. But at the same time, it could be like a game of basketball. It could be literally just end-to-end all game. I hope it's entertaining. That's my most important kind of takeaway point from this, because I think, obviously, I want us to win the game, you know? Obviously, I want Manchester United to win every single game. But at the same time, I would like this game on Sunday to be entertaining. I would like to see some patterns of play. We've had 9 days between games. We've had a full week of training. And we have to see some improvement now, okay? We've all stood behind Ruben Amorim. We've all backed him. We've all said, he hasn't had enough training. We can't judge him yet. Well, the last game of football we played was on Friday last week, 7 days ago, okay? Obviously, the team wouldn't have trained on Saturday. They'd have been back on training on Monday. So they would have had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'll have training today, and then they won't train tomorrow, and they'll play on Sunday. So they've had 5 or 6 whole days of training. So we should see some improvement. I think this is the biggest gap we've had between games since Ruben Amorim joined Manchester United. And we have to now start seeing some patterns of play. Yes, we've got a couple of injuries, but as I said, every team have injuries, and I don't think we can use that as an excuse. In defence, you've still got Maguire, Lenny Yoro, De Ligt, Mazraoui can play in that defence. Obviously, Dallow's played in the defence as well. Like, we do have options there. But yeah, I'm going to go with a draw. I think it's really hard to predict, though, isn't it? I honestly don't know what to think. But I guess that's what's great about football, isn't it? It's not great when you're a Man United fan because you go into every single game thinking we could win, lose or draw here quite easily. But from an entertainment perspective, if you're a mutual, Tottenham could win 4-0 on the weekend and it wouldn't surprise me. We could win 4-0. We could draw. All of the different options are there, but I'm going to say a draw. Obviously, let me know your score predictions in the comment section. I'm going to go 2-2. I think there's going to be lots of goals, and I think it's going to be a difficult game because obviously Tottenham's mood is at rock bottom. They're going to want to get a win. That will give them a bit of confidence going into the rest of the season. So I'm going a draw. But right, let's move on from that and let's go into some transfer-related news. And let's start the show off by talking about Viktor Gyökeres, because there was a story that broke last night via The Athletic saying that Manchester United apparently are not going to go for Viktor Gyökeres anymore. Let me just get the story up for you here. Where is it? So this is coming out from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic. He says it is now unlikely that a move for Viktor Gyökeres will happen this summer. He says that Gyökeres wants to join a Champions League club and United are not willing to spend £60 million on a player who turns 27 in June. The story then goes on to say that apparently United are only going to recruit players under the age of 25, which to me completely baffles me. You've got a player who is still 26, right? They're already saying he's 27. He's not 27 yet. He's 27 in the summer. You've got a player who's 26, who is scoring goals for fun, is in his prime, and Manchester United are like, oh, we don't want to spend 60 million on him. Let's go for Delap from Ipswich instead, who's going to cost you 40 million. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the guy's got 6 goals in 8 Champions League games this season. He's got 22 goals in 20 Portuguese league matches. He's absolutely on fire this season. And for whatever reason, Manchester United are now saying, oh, we're not sure about him. We don't know about spending 60 million on a player who turns 27. I mean, what a load of rubbish. I just think it's absolutely pathetic, to be honest. And when you look at the players that we're now being linked to, it's people like Delap from Ipswich. I mean, Liam Delap, for me, is a second choice striker at best. You have someone like a Harry Kane, a Gyökeres, an Osimhen, someone of that quality as your main striker, and then you could have someone like a Højlund or a Delap as your backup striker. That would be what a top club like Manchester United should have. If Liam Delap's going to be our main striker, like that just to me sounds like a bottom half of the table type team. A top team should be attracting players like Gyökeres, Osimhen, Harry Kane, these types of big name players. But yeah, effectively the headline is that Manchester United are reluctant to spend the money, really. That's how I see it. They don't want to spend the money. They'll go for a cheaper option. Laurie Whitwell goes on to say that Manchester United are also scouting Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford, and Brentford want a club record fee if they had to sell him this summer. I mean, that to me doesn't really make any sense though at the same time, right? Bryan Mbeumo is 25, turns 26 in August. So we're being led to believe that Viktor Gyökeres at the age of 26 is too old. A player who's literally one of the most in-demand strikers in the world at the moment. But Bryan Mbeumo, who's 26 and has had one good season in the Premier League, is not too old. It just doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I just honestly think that it's Manchester United saying they don't have any money or aren't willing to spend the money. The only thing I can say about Bryan Mbeumo is obviously he has had a good season and there is a bit of an opportunity there because his contract expires next summer. So I don't know. I feel like this whole contract expiring situation though, like I still don't think that Brentford would sell him cheap. As the story says, they want a club record fee. I'm not sure what Brentford's club record fee is at this point. Let me just have a little look. But the point I'm making is I don't think he'll be cheap. I would say 40 million minimum, 50 million maybe. And the fact that you can get Gyökeres for 60, it just seems a little bit strange. So their club record so far was, they got 42 million euros for Antony. So they want more than 42 million euros. So I would say around 50 million euros, 45 million pounds, which to me just doesn't make sense because you can go and get Gyökeres for 10 million more. But I'd be interested to know what you guys all think about that one. I understand the logic that maybe Gyökeres wants to go somewhere where he's going to get Champions League football. I get that. But we might be in the Champions League. We might win the Europa League, you know? It's a little bit strange. And then there's a couple of other names we're being linked to this morning that I wanted to talk about really quickly. And it doesn't make particularly good reading because the headline is that apparently Manchester United are going to explore the free agent market. Effectively, again, that they're saying they don't have any money and that they're going to look at signing players that don't cost a transfer fee. Now, some of the names that we're being linked to this morning are really, really concerning me. And then one of those players, right, whether or not this happens, obviously, who knows? Only time will tell. But we're being linked to Jamie Vardy. I mean, if that was 10 years ago, great. That would have been a good signing. But are we that desperate that we're going to go and try and sign someone like Jamie Vardy? I mean, how old is Jamie Vardy now? He's been around forever, hasn't he? Jamie Vardy's 38. 38 years of age. Obviously, in his day, he was one of the best strikers in the Premier League, wasn't he? But that was like literally, 10 years ago? I mean, how many goals has he got this season? He's got 7 goals. I mean, it's still 5 more than Højlund, to be fair. 7 goals and 3 assists. But at the same time, he's 38 years of age. Yeah, so Jamie Vardy this season in the Premier League has got 7 goals, 3 assists. Rasmus Højlund has got 2 goals, no assists. So he's got 2 goals and assists in the Premier League total, Højlund, and Jamie Vardy's got 10. I mean, when you look at it like that, Jamie Vardy's got 5 times the amount of goals and assists. But still, I think we're really, really scraping the barrel there if they think that that's a good option to do. How do you all feel about that? The thought of signing Jamie Vardy at the age of 38. I mean, he would bring experience, I guess, but I think it does just show how desperate we are. This is all coming from Laurie Whitwell, by the way, in The Athletic, for anybody who's wondering where this story's kind of come from. And it says that Manchester United are also looking at Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who apparently is also out of contract in the summer. I mean, again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's not as old. He's 27. 3 goals, 1 assist. I mean, again, when you look at it like that, he's got double the amount of goals and assists than Højlund does. So, I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, he's not good enough, we don't want him. But if I said to you that we could sell Højlund for 50 million, 40 million, right? And then bring in Dominic Calvert-Lewin for free, and then also go and sign another striker, would you do it? I mean, I would maybe consider it. You know, when you think of the logic, you use the money you get from Højlund to go and buy an Osimhen, a Gyökeres, someone like that, right? And then you sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a free or Jamie Vardy on a free. Like, I probably would do that. But there would have to be someone like an Osimhen or a Gyökeres coming through the door. I wouldn't be satisfied with just Dominic Calvert-Lewin being our main striker, or Liam Delap being our main striker, or Jamie Vardy being our main striker. And the other thing as well that worries me about Dominic Calvert-Lewin is his injury record. I mean, he seems to just get injured all the time. And we've got more than enough players at this club who spend all of their week in the injury room. You know, we had Martial, we got rid of him. Do you know what's really weird as well, actually, just on that topic? Martial's gone to Greece. And he hasn't been injured once since he left Manchester United. I don't understand it. It's really, really weird. And it can't just be a coincidence. Is it the medical team? I don't get it. Martial's got 7 goals and 1 assist in 15 games in the Greek league, and he's not been injured once. No injuries since he left. Whereas he was literally injured for like 2 years at Manchester United, non-stop. It's really strange. And I feel like it's something that needs investigating, because it can't just be a coincidence. Mason Mount, I don't think, had been injured once in his career. Let me double check this. The same with Martinez. I mean, Mason Mount, before he came to Manchester United, missed 13 games one season, 4 games another season, 1 game and 1 game. So his injury record was pretty much non-existent. Yeah, he'd missed a couple of games. Since Mason Mount's come to Manchester United, he's missed 27 games last season and he's missed 16 games already this season. Martinez is another prime example, right? You look at his injury record before he signed for Manchester United. Before he signed for Manchester United, in his whole career, let's have a look. So he joined in 21-22. He missed 1 game in 2021, 1 game in 2020, and 1 game in 2019. Since he's joined Manchester United, he missed 14 games in his first season. He missed 42 games last season, and apparently he's going to be out for about 12 months. I don't know if anybody saw that story, but Martinez has had to have surgery on his ACL injury. And it says that the minimum recovery time for this particular surgery is 6 to 12 months. It says that if he responds well, he might be back in time for the start of next season. But usually it's 6 to 12 months. So in theory, worst case scenario, we might not see Lisandro Martinez in a Manchester United shirt until this time next year, 12 months from now. By which point he'll be 28 and he'll, I think, only have 1 year left on his contract. Yeah. So by the next time we see Martinez, he'll be 28 years of age and will have 1 year left on his contract. It's mad. I just don't understand how... Is it the physicality of the Premier League? Is it... I don't know. Is it a bad medical department? I have no idea. If anybody has any theories on this, obviously please do let me know. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Because you look at these examples. I mean, Mason Mount obviously was in the Premier League before, so forget about Mason Mount. If you look at Martinez and Martial injured constantly at Manchester United, leaves Manchester United and hasn't been injured once since. Martinez is never injured in his whole career, comes to Manchester United and is missing 40 games a season. It's really strange. I don't know. Maup says that Martinez will be done after these injuries. Sure, somebody in the chat says that we're negotiating with Osimhen for 63 million. Yeah, I did see that story. I did see that story about Osimhen. I mean, the only concern I have with Osimhen is we know that Napoli want Garnacho. So to me, my fear is that we get Osimhen, but we sell Garnacho. Maybe some of you would be happy with that, but I would be a bit disappointed. What else have we got? Johnny says, look at Ahmad's injury record. Has he ever been injured? Oh, yeah. Wow, Ahmad's injury record's really bad as well. Ahmad missed 27 games last season. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why they all seem to get injured. But it's not just Manchester United. Look at Tottenham's team. 10 of their first team players are injured at the moment. I can see Al says, Antony scored a great goal yesterday. Why couldn't he score at United? I don't understand this whole hype around Antony scoring 1 goal in the Europa Conference League yesterday and people being like, oh, why couldn't he do it for Man United? Antony scored that exact same goal that he scored last night for Real Betis, maybe 10 times for Manchester United. He did it against Barcelona. He did it against Arsenal. That is the only thing that Antony can do. He's on the right-hand side. He cuts in on his left foot and he shoots. And if you actually watch that goal back, right? Yes, it was a nice goal, but the defence don't even run at him. And you don't get that in the Premier League. As soon as you have the ball on the edge of the box in the Premier League, you'll have 2 or 3 players running at you and closing you down. You don't get the time like you do playing in the Europa Conference League. So we can all create this agenda where we say that, oh, Antony was good enough. He's just scored a goal against Ghent in the Europa Conference League. Like, what have we done? We've made such a mistake. But just really analyse that situation. We've seen Antony score that goal before 10 times against better teams. We saw him score that goal against Barcelona in the Champions League or in the Europa League. We saw him score that goal against Man City, against Arsenal. So he has scored that exact same goal before. And as I said, he doesn't get that time like he would against a lesser team in the Europa Conference League. But to take some sort of positive away from it, you know, if the fan base want to keep building up Antony and making out that we made a mistake and he's this amazing player, hopefully in the summer someone comes and buys him, because he didn't work at Manchester United. You know, whether you want to believe that seeing a 30-second clip of him scoring a goal where he wasn't even pressured means that we've been stupid to let him go, then that's obviously fine. But your eyes don't lie. He was absolutely awful for Manchester United for years. For the 2 years he was here. You look at his stats. Last season, he played 29 times in the Premier League. He got 1 goal as an attacking player. Like, is that good enough? And it's not like he was doing loads of other stuff as well. He was offering nothing and he wasn't scoring. And that was under the manager that he loved, Erik ten Hag. The season before that, he got 4 goals in 25 games, which isn't awful, but it's still not very good. So, for me personally, like, if Antony continues getting these headlines and people keep saying, oh, they made a mistake, he's not going to come back to Manchester United. Just sell him. Try and recoup some of the money that we paid for him. 95 million euros we paid, which is absolutely mind-boggling. It was a fight. I'm just trying to work out how much we've got left to pay on his deal. So we bought him in 2022 on a 5-year deal. So 95 divided by 5. In the summer, he'll have been here for 3 years. Minus 95. So we've got about 38 million euros left invested in Antony in relation to PSR. So if we sold Antony in the summer for anything more than 38 million euros, in relation to our PSR for this season or this calendar year, we would make a profit. So, you know, if we could get 40 million for him, 45 million, we would be making a profit. In relation to financial fair play, anyway, you know, not obviously when you look at the original transfer fee, but the point I'm making is how PSR works is it's done in a financial year, and we've paid 3/5 of his transfer fee already, if that makes sense. So we only have 38 million euros left to pay. So if we were to get 40 million from him in the summer, we would make 2 million euros profit. So I hope he keeps performing. I hope people continue to hype him up. But my perspective on it is, yeah, it's not great. Right, let's talk about Quenda really quickly then. So there is a report that's come out this morning. Obviously, David Ornstein reported a couple of weeks ago from The Athletic that apparently Manchester United are negotiating a deal for Giovani Kenda. And there is a couple of reports coming out of Portugal this morning saying that apparently Manchester United believe that they have agreed a deal for Giovani Kenda. Now, just to be clear, this hasn't been reported by Fabrizio or anybody like that yet. It's more the Portuguese media egging up the story. And it says that apparently the deal will be done for around 50 million. It says that no other clubs can enter the race. And it also says that apparently he wants to join Manchester United and he's chosen Manchester United. So, I mean, for me, right, Giovani Kenda looks exciting. He looks like a good, talented player. But if we spend 50 million on him at the age of 17, maybe he turns into the next best player in the world and we'll be sat here in 5 years and he'll be worth 200 million and we'll be winning Premier Leagues and all the rest of it. I mean, maybe. But there's also the chance he comes to the Premier League and he doesn't settle in. And you know what I mean? Like, that's happened more times than not at Manchester United. But the point I'm making here is, if we have 50 million to spend on an unproven 17-year-old, why are we not just spending that money on Gyökeres, you know? And the narrative that they're putting out is, oh, we don't want to spend that type of money on a 26-year-old. I mean, strikers go on until they're in their mid-30s. We were talking about Jamie Vardy a couple of minutes ago. Jamie Vardy at the age of 38 has got 7 goals in the Premier League already this season at the age of 38. He's 12 years older than Viktor Gyökeres, and he's still scoring goals in the Premier League for a team that are going to get relegated. So I don't really understand this whole argument. I think the striker is the most important position for Manchester United, and you know, it needs to be a proper striker, an Osimhen, a Gyökeres, somebody like that. It can't be a Liam Delap or a Dominic Calvert-Lewin or a Jamie Vardy. That's not going to do much for us. Bring them in as a backup, great. Have them as a third choice option, you know, have a Jamie Vardy as your backup, whatever, fine. But we can't be relying on a Vardy or a Dominic Calvert-Lewin to lead the line. Unless we, of course, want to be a mid-table team, then maybe we do. But in relation to Giovani Kenda, apparently Manchester United are going to get that deal done. He only has 2 years left on his contract at Sporting Lisbon. They obviously know that he's going to leave in the summer. He's come through their youth academy. He will be 100% profit for them. So it's, you know, it's a nice deal for them. But we are about to spend potentially 50 million on a player who's got 1 goal in 21 games in the Portuguese league, right? Whereas I know they play in different positions. He's a winger and Gyökeres is a striker, but Gyökeres has got, I think, 22 goals this season in the Portuguese league alone. And we're saying that that's too much money to spend, but we're willing to spend the same amount of money pretty much on a player who's got 1 goal in the same amount of games. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Gyökeres has got 34 goals and 7 assists in 35 matches. That's 41 goals and assists in only 35 matches, which is absolutely incredible. Phenomenal stats. Whereas you look at Giovani Kenda, in all competitions, he's got 2 goals and 7 assists. It's good to see that he gets assists, but I don't know. I guess we have to trust Ruben Amorim. We have to trust that he knows that this is the right player. Obviously, he would go in at the right wing-back spot, I believe. So you'd have Dorgu on the left wing-back and Giovani Kenda on the right. And from what I've heard from a lot of different people, the right wing-back and the left wing-back spot is effectively the most important position in Ruben Amorim's team. So, you know, if he says we need to spend big on this player and he's going to unlock everything, then fine, we have to trust that. But I'm just a little bit confused personally. So yeah. What else have we got in the chat this morning? People saying it's way too much for Quenda. Yeah, I agree. I think it is too much. But then again, as somebody else says, you've got to give Antony what he wants. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow morning. Please make sure to drop a like before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a great day. Have a lovely Friday, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow. Bye for now.